What if the first life on Earth wasn't green, but purple? And what if purple is the true color of life across the universe? Scientists believe a mysterious molecule, retinal, could have shaped the earliest biosphere. If so, alien worlds may glow not green, but violet. Chapter 1. The color of life as we know it. Imagine walking through a forest at dawn. Sunlight filters through the leaves, and everything glows with shades of green. It feels natural, almost inevitable, that plants are green. But have you ever wondered why? Why this color, and not black, red, or purple? Chapter 1 begins here, with the familiar green world around us, and the science that explains it. 1. Why plants are green. Plants on Earth rely on a molecule called chlorophyll. It is the pigment inside their cells that captures sunlight and turns it into energy. Chlorophyll absorbs blue and red light very well, but it reflects green. That is why forests, fields, and even the grass in your backyard all share the same color. From a physics perspective, this is interesting. If plants are trying to use sunlight as fuel, why waste the green part of the spectrum? Green light is abundant, yet evolution chose chlorophyll, and chlorophyll reflects green. To the spectrum of the sun, the answer lies partly in the nature of our star. The sun's spectrum, the range of light it gives off, peaks in the visible range, especially in the green and yellow bands. Our atmosphere filters out some wavelengths, but what reaches Earth's surface is mostly visible light, with a lot of green included. In principle, plants could have evolved to use all of it. They could have been black, soaking up every photon, but evolution rarely finds perfect solutions. Instead, it finds workable, efficient paths. Chlorophyll was good enough to sustain life, and once it became dominant, it shaped ecosystems. 3. The efficiency paradox. Here comes the paradox. Chlorophyll is not the most efficient pigment possible. It ignores a wide band of green light, essentially throwing away energy. Other pigments, at least in theory, could do better. So why didn't they win? One idea is that chlorophyll's combination of absorption, stability, and chemical compatibility with early life made it good enough. Once plants using chlorophyll spread, they reshaped the environment. They filled the oceans and land with green, leaving little room for competitors. In evolutionary terms, success is not about being perfect. It's about being first, being stable, and being able to spread. Chlorophyll did all three. For alternatives that exist on Earth, chlorophyll is not the only light-absorbing pigment we know. Carotenoids give carrots their orange color. Phycobilins appear in certain algae, painting them red or blue. Even today, some microbes use a very different molecule, retinol. This pigment, unlike chlorophyll, absorbs green light and reflects purple. These pigments exist in smaller niches, overshadowed by the dominance of chlorophyll, but they remind us that life has options. It could have taken other paths. 5. Light, energy, and evolution. To understand why plants are green, we must think about light as energy. Each photon of light carries a certain amount of energy, depending on its color. Blue photons are high energy, red photons are lower energy, and green sits in between. A pigment like chlorophyll absorbs mostly red and blue. This gives plants a balanced input of energy, not too little, not too much. Absorbing only blue might damage cells with excess energy. Absorbing only red might not provide enough. By combining the two, chlorophyll found a middle ground. In other words, plants might be green because chlorophyll avoided the extremes. It was stable, reliable, and safe for cells. 6. The role of atmosphere and water. Another factor is Earth itself. Early life developed in oceans, where water filtered the sunlight. Water absorbs certain wavelengths more strongly than others. By the time sunlight reached microbes in shallow seas, red and blue might have been more useful than green. The atmosphere also matters. Gases scatter and absorb light. Earth's sky is blue because of scattering, which means certain wavelengths are always more available. Life adapted to what it saw most often. Together, water and atmosphere created conditions where chlorophyll made sense. Green became the reflection, not the absorption. 7 was green the only option. From today's perspective, it seems like green plants are inevitable. But if we replayed Earth's history, things might have turned out differently. Other pigments, including retinal, could have taken the lead. Life might not have painted the planet green at all. This is where the mystery begins. If green is just one possibility, then perhaps the universe holds many others. Perhaps other worlds are not green, but red, black, or even purple. 8. Setting the stage for purple. As we close this chapter, let's pause. Green life feels normal to us, but it is not the only way. Chlorophyll dominates Earth, but not because it is perfect. It simply won the evolutionary race here. But before chlorophyll spread, another pigment may have ruled. A pigment that turned early seas into violet landscapes. This was retinal, and it leads us into the purple Earth hypothesis. The color of life on Earth is not a law of nature. It is a story of chance, adaptation, and survival. Chlorophyll happened to rise and spread. That is why we live on a green planet. But in the next chapter, we will explore what came before, and the possibility that our world was once not green at all, but purple. What if the true, original color of life is not what we see today? Scientists can introduce microbial rhodopsin pathways into simple cells and produce light-driven proton pumps. In the wild, retinal-containing microbes thrive in light-exposed, nutrient-limited environments. Their modern success shows the mechanism is robust. From a logical point of view, a simple light-capturing system could easily have arisen early in Earth's history and spread in surface habitats, especially in shallow seas and salt flats where light was plentiful. Could those microbes be numerous enough to tint large areas of ocean violet, in places where conditions favor them? High salinity, calm water, abundant sunlight, modern halophiles form thick mats and blooms. Multiply that by global shallow seas and long time scales, and the idea becomes plausible. Patches, and perhaps broad stretches, of early ocean could have carried a purple shimmer. Still, direct rock evidence for a global purple ocean is limited. We do find chemical signatures that suggest diverse microbial metabolisms existed before oxygen rose. Lipid biomarkers and isotopic ratios point to a world of many microbial strategies, some of which could include simple phototrophy. The point is not absolute proof. It is a reasonable, testable idea, grounded in what we know about biology and the fossil record. 3. The purple Earth hypothesis. Put these pieces together, and you get the purple Earth hypothesis. It proposes that before chlorophyll-based oxygen-producing life dominated, retinal-based phototrophs could have been widespread. These microbes might have bathed shallow seas in violet light and changed local ecosystems in important ways. Why would retinal systems dominate for long stretches of time? First, they could evolve early. Simpler biochemical solutions often appear before more complex ones. Second, they are efficient in specific niches, where nutrients are limited and light is abundant. Direct proton pumps are a fast and low-cost way to harvest energy. Third, they were not competing against oxygenic photosynthesis until cyanobacteria evolved and spread their complex machinery. If retinal-rich microbes held the surface for hundreds of millions of years, they would shape the environment. They would alter local chemistry and the light field near the surface. That environment in turn would influence what later life evolved into. When oxygen-producing organisms eventually appeared and began to change the atmosphere, they would face descendants and ecological systems that already had a long history. This hypothesis changes how we imagine early Earth. The picture of a slow climb from barren rock to green forests may be too neat. Instead, early Earth might have explored different solutions to the problem of capturing sunlight. Purple skies and seas are not just a fanciful image. They are the natural outcome if inexpensive. Retinal-based phototrophy was common. The theory also challenges assumptions we make when searching for life elsewhere. Chapter 2: Retinal and the Purple Earth Hypothesis. Imagine a shallow sea, billions of years ago. Instead of blue waves and clear water, the world shimmers in violet. Tiny dots float near the surface, catching sunlight and turning it into power. They are not plants as we know them. They are microbes using a simple molecule called retinal. This chapter explains what retinal is, why some scientists think early Earth may have been purple, and what that idea changes about our view of life. 1. What is retinal? Retinal is a small organic molecule closely related to vitamin A. It fits into simple proteins called microbial rhodopsins. When light hits retinal inside those proteins, retinal changes shape. That change pushes protons across a cell membrane. The proton flow builds a tiny energy gradient. The cell can use basically a lightweight solar battery. This system is different from chlorophyll-based photosynthesis. Chlorophyll captures light to drive complex chemistry that builds sugars and, in the case of plants and cyanobacteria, splits water and releases oxygen. Retinal-based phototrophy does not split water. It does not produce oxygen. Instead, it directly converts light into a proton gradient that cells use for energy. Retinal has a few useful features. It is chemically simple compared with the whole chlorophyll apparatus. It can be made with fewer steps, and it works with smaller proteins. Some modern microbes, like halophilic archaea, often called haloarchaea, use retinal in abundant amounts. Their cell membranes can look purple because retinal absorbs green-yellow light and reflects red and blue, producing a violet cast. In extreme environments today, salt ponds for example, these purple microbes can be so dense that the water appears white-colored. 2. Evidence from Earth's past. When we peer into Earth's deep past, direct chemical traces of retinal are rare. Small organic molecules usually do not fossilize intact over billions of years. Instead, scientists rely on indirect clues, patterns in rock chemistry, the presence of molecular fossils from related compounds, and comparisons with modern microbes. There is a strong reason to think retinal-like phototrophy could be ancient. Life appears on Earth very early in the geological record. Microbial ecosystems existed long before oxygen became common in the atmosphere. The first major global change, the Great Oxidation Event, happened roughly 2.4 billion years ago. Before that, Earth's surface environments were dominated by microbes that did not produce oxygen. In a world without oxygen, the simplest and fastest routes to capture energy would have an advantage. Retinal-based systems are chemically simpler than the full machinery needed for oxygenic photosynthesis. They require fewer genes and less complex biochemistry. That simplicity makes them plausible early players. Laboratory work supports this. For decades, astrobiology often used Earth as a template. We looked for the red edge signature of chlorophyll on exoplanets, a sharp change in reflected light near certain wavelengths, caused by vegetation. If a planet's dominant phototrophs use a different pigment, their spectral feature will shift. Detecting life requires broader thinking. 4. Why this theory matters. The purple Earth hypothesis has practical implications. It expands the range of possible biosignatures we should seek with telescopes. Instead of focusing only on green vegetation and oxygen-rich atmospheres, we should consider alternative pigments and metabolic pathways. A world with retinal-dominated life might show a purple edge in its reflected spectrum. It might not produce oxygen in large amounts, but it could still produce other detectable gases or surface features. The idea also refines our view of evolutionary history. It reminds us that what we see now is a snapshot of one outcome among many. Life's early steps may have been experimental, trying different chemistries, until one led to a global transformation. Chlorophyll and oxygenic photosynthesis were transformational. They reshaped atmosphere, climate, and biology, but they might have replaced an earlier purple biosphere rather than arising on a blank slate. Finally, the hypothesis invites humility. If our planet's earliest major biomass was not green, then our default mental image of life needs updating. We must accept that life could take appearances that surprise us. That humility will help us design better searches and better stories about life in the cosmos. Transition. If Earth once glowed purple, could alien worlds glow the same? Chapter 3: Alien Colors of Life. Imagine standing on the surface of another world. The air is thin but breathable. The sky is painted with a strange hue, and across the horizon stretches a forest not of green, but of deep crimson. The leaves glisten like blood-red glass under a dim star. Or perhaps you are looking across a vast plain where the grass is black, darker than coal, drinking in every scrap of light. These are not just flights of imagination. They are possible realities shaped by the physics of starlight and the chemistry of life. To understand the alien colors of life, we need to think about the stars that feed these ecosystems with energy. 1. Star types and their light. Our Sun is a yellow star, technically a G-type main sequence star. It emits a balanced spectrum of visible light, with a peak in the green part. That balance is why plants here are green. Chlorophyll reflects green but absorbs red and blue, capturing the most useful parts of sunlight. But most stars in the galaxy are not like our Sun. Take red dwarfs for example. They are the most common stars in the Milky Way. Small, cool, and dim. Their light is shifted toward the red and infrared. If life were to arise on a planet orbiting such a star, the organisms would have to adapt to that spectrum. Instead of wasting precious photons, they might evolve pigments tuned to capture red and infrared wavelengths. The result could be vegetation that looks black, maroon, or even metallic to our eyes. Then there are blue giants. These stars are massive, rare, and extremely bright. Their light is harsh, shifted toward the blue and ultraviolet. A planet orbiting one, if it could survive the radiation, might host plants or microbes that reflect away that dangerous UV, while harvesting the bluer end of the spectrum. Imagine a world of scarlet leaves beneath a brilliant blue-white sky. What we see here is simple. The type of star dictates the color palette of life. The energy a star emits defines the evolutionary choices available. 2. Alien pigments. Now, let's dive deeper into pigments themselves. On Earth, chlorophyll dominates, but it's not the only solution. Retinal, the pigment we explored in the previous chapter, is simpler. It works by absorbing green light and reflecting purple, which is why retinal-based microbes shimmer with that violet glow. Retinal doesn't need the complex machinery that chlorophyll requires. It's a one-step light harvester. That simplicity could make it universal across planets, especially in environments where evolution favors speed over efficiency. So what might alien pigments look like? Red plants near blue stars. Blue giants emit short, energetic wavelengths. An alien plant could evolve pigments that absorb blue while reflecting red. From orbit, the planet might appear wrapped in crimson vegetation, black vegetation round faint stars. Under red dwarfs, every photon matters. Pigments may evolve to absorb across the full spectrum, leaving little reflected light. To human eyes, forests would appear jet black, soaking up every flicker of starlight. Purple as a universal solution. Retinal's simplicity means it can appear under many conditions. On distant worlds, purple landscapes may not be rare but common. Oceans of violet microbes, or fields of lavender-colored plants basking under alien suns. These colors are not random. They are direct responses to physics. Evolution paints with the palette the star provides. 3. Speculative alien worlds. Now let us step into some case studies, real exoplanets, where these ideas could play out. Take Proxima Centauri b, orbiting the closest star to our Sun. Proxima is a red dwarf, shining mostly in red and infrared. If life exists there, it probably doesn't look green. Instead, the surface could be dotted with black organisms, absorbing nearly every wavelength. Imagine walking across an endless field of black grass under a dim red sun. At first glance it would feel lifeless, but it could be teeming with alien vitality. Or consider the TRAPPIST-1 system, a miniature solar system of 7 rocky planets, also orbiting a red dwarf. Each planet sits at a different distance, some within the habitable zone. On one, you might see violet oceans filled with retinal-based microbes, glowing faintly under the dim star. On another, crimson forests could stretch across continents, reflecting red to protect themselves from overload, while soaking up other wavelengths. What would these worlds look like from space? Earth appears blue and green because of its oceans and forests. A TRAPPIST-1 world might shine blackish purple, like a cosmic amethyst suspended in darkness. Another might gleam blood red. For astronomers, spotting such colors in exoplanet atmospheres could one day serve as a signpost for life. 4. Why these colors matter at first. Talking about alien forests and purple microbes might sound like science fiction, but in truth, it's a testable idea. Future telescopes, like the James Webb Space Telescope and its successors, will scan exoplanet atmospheres for biosignatures. If a planet reflects light in a way that doesn't match simple rocks or water, scientists will suspect something more, something alive. The red edge of chlorophyll is a known signature. Earth's vegetation strongly reflects near-infrared light. Alien worlds could have their own edges, a purple edge, a black edge, or even a red edge. Each would whisper to us about alien evolution. This brings us back to the purple Earth hypothesis. If retinal really did dominate our early oceans, then purple might not be exotic at all. It could be a recurring solution across the cosmos. Evolution doesn't care about aesthetics. It only cares about survival. 5. Transitions. So far, we've imagined crimson forests and violet seas. But the real question is this: why would evolution favor purple over and over again? Is there something about retinal, its simplicity, its efficiency, that makes it inevitable? The answer may lie in a concept called convergent evolution. Different life forms, separated by time and distance, can evolve the same solutions to the same problems. Sharks and dolphins both evolved streamlined bodies, though one is a fish and the other a mammal. Eyes evolved independently many times across species, so why not pigments too? Perhaps wherever there is starlight, life finds retinal. And that brings us to our next chapter: why purple might not just be a color of Earth's past, but a universal color of life itself. Chapter 4: Convergent Evolution. Across the universe, nature has a way of repeating itself. Even when conditions differ, evolution often finds the same solutions. This pattern is known as convergent evolution, and it's one of the strongest hints that purple life may not be unique to Earth. To understand why, we first need to look at the evidence here at home. 1. Convergent evolution on Earth. Convergent evolution happens when unrelated species, living in different places or times, evolve similar traits because they face similar challenges. The natural world is full of these echoes. Take wings. Insects evolved wings hundreds of millions of years ago. Much later, birds developed them too, using feathers. And then bats arrived, mammals that stretched skin between their elongated fingers. 3 completely different blueprints, but all 3 achieved flight. Evolution didn't copy and paste, it simply solved the same problem: how to move through air in ways that rhyme. Or consider ice. Human eyes and squid eyes are astonishingly similar. Even though our lineages split more than 500 million years ago, both evolved lenses, retinas, and the ability to focus light. Why? Because eyes are simply too useful to ignore. Wherever light exists, vision finds a way. The same story plays out with photosynthesis. Plants, algae, and some bacteria developed different pigments to capture light, yet all ended up doing the same essential task: converting sunlight into usable energy. Even on Earth, multiple lineages have independently discovered how to turn light into life. Convergent evolution shows us that certain solutions are so effective that they reappear again and again. Life doesn't reinvent everything from scratch. It leans on the most efficient answers. 2. Pigment convergence. Now, let's apply this to pigments. If wings, eyes, and photosynthesis strategies evolve repeatedly, why not pigments too? On Earth, chlorophyll dominates today, but retinal is older and simpler. It requires fewer steps to function. It can capture light directly without complicated molecular machinery. That simplicity is its strength. Imagine evolution like an inventor under pressure. Retinal is the quick and easy tool, a Swiss Army knife for light harvesting. So picture alien worlds. If microbes there need to absorb light, retinal is the low-hanging fruit of evolution. It may not always be the final solution. Just as early wings on insects looked nothing like modern bird wings, but it could be the first step, and sometimes the lasting one. Why might retinal keep reappearing? Simplicity. It's easy for life to stumble upon retinal, chemically speaking. The building blocks are common and form under simple conditions. Efficiency. While not as powerful as chlorophyll, retinal is efficient enough in low-light environments, like those orbiting red dwarfs. Survivability. Retinal-based organisms can thrive in extreme places. On Earth today, halobacteria use retinal to flourish in salty, hostile lakes, where little else survives. In other words, retinal doesn't just work, it works almost anywhere. Evolution tends to recycle good ideas. That makes purple life not only plausible, but perhaps inevitable. 3. Life as we don't know. Here's where we stretch our imagination. Think of Earth's biosphere as a museum. On one side is the section labeled Life as we know it. Here you'll find green plants, familiar animals, chlorophyll-driven photosynthesis. This is the world we recognize. But the museum has another wing. Life as we don't know it. It contains creatures we haven't seen, pigments we haven't imagined, survival strategies alien to us. The only way to expand science is to step into this second wing, to explore beyond the comfortable green we're used to. When we limit our expectations to chlorophyll, we risk missing other possibilities. Purple life may seem strange, but to evolution, it's just another shade in the spectrum. Perhaps black forests drink in every photon on a distant planet. Perhaps red vegetation thrives under a blue sun. The point is this: Earth is not the only template. Life has more colors than we can see. 4. Why this matters for alien worlds. If retinal and other pigments can reappear through convergent evolution, then alien biospheres may look oddly familiar. Maybe not in shape or form, but in strategy. Just as wings evolved again and again, pigments may converge on similar solutions, shaped by physics and chemistry, and this has practical consequences. If purple organisms are out there, telescopes might one day detect them. The color of reflected light biosignatures could tell us more about alien ecosystems than 1,000 probes. By knowing what to look for, we give ourselves a chance to recognize life when we see it. 5. Transition wave. Seen how wings, eyes, and photosynthesis all echo across evolution. We've seen why pigments like retinal could reappear on alien worlds, and we've stretched our imagination beyond green into crimson, black, and purple. But a question remains: if purple life exists beyond Earth, how would we ever find it? That's where science turns from speculation to observation, and in the next chapter, we'll explore the tools and techniques that might allow us to detect these colors of life light years away. Because if the universe is painted in more colors than Earth's green, it's time we learned how to read that palette. Chapter 5. Searching for purple worlds. We've traveled from Earth's green plants to the possibility of purple oceans on alien planets. Now comes the final step. How do we actually search for these worlds? It's one thing to imagine purple life, but another to detect it across the vastness of space. This chapter connects theory with the cutting edge of astronomy. 1. Biosignatures in light. Every planet, bathed in starlight, reflects part of that light back into space. That reflection carries clues. Just as leaves on Earth create a unique fingerprint in the spectrum of sunlight, alien vegetation could leave its own mark. Scientists call these fingerprints biosignatures. On Earth, one of the clearest biosignatures is the red edge. Plants absorb most visible light, but strongly reflect near-infrared. Satellites easily pick up this sharp jump in reflectance, and it's one way we can monitor forests from orbit. If a telescope around another star looked at Earth, that red edge might give away the presence of plant life. Now imagine a planet covered in retinal-based organisms. Instead of chlorophyll, their light signature would be different. Instead of a red edge, there might be a purple edgy, a distinct spectral feature caused by pigments that absorb green and reflect violet. Detecting such a signal would be like hearing an alien voice in the static. It would mean life had left its fingerprint on the light. The challenge is distance. Exoplanets are tiny compared to their stars. Observing them is like trying to see a firefly buzzing next to a searchlight from across an ocean. But with the right instruments, we're beginning to separate the firefly's glow from the glare of the star. 2. Upcoming missions. This is where new telescopes come in. We already have the James Webb Space Telescope, JWST, which can analyze the atmospheres of some exoplanets. By looking at how starlight filters through a planet's atmosphere during a transit, JWST can detect gases like carbon dioxide, methane, and even water vapor. These are not proof of life on their own, but they are hints, ingredients that make life more plausible. But JWST is just the beginning. Future missions are designed with biosignatures in mind. LUVOIR Large UV Optical IR Surveyor, a proposed space telescope with a mirror up to 15 meters wide. LUVOIR could directly image Earth-like planets and take detailed spectra of their surfaces and skies. With its broad wavelength coverage, it could hunt specifically for vegetation, edges whether red, purple, or something unexpected. HabEx Habitable Exoplanet Observatory, another planned mission. Smaller than LUVOIR, but equipped with tools to block starlight and reveal orbiting planets. HabEx would be optimized to search for Earth-sized worlds in habitable zones, the sweet spots where liquid water can exist. Both of these future observatories could, in principle, detect the purple edge. They could reveal whether a distant planet's surface reflects light in a way consistent with retinal-based organisms. For the first time, we might know not only that life exists elsewhere, but also what color its world truly is. 3. The purple edge. To understand how big this would be, let's revisit the analogy of the red edge. When satellites measure Earth, the red edge appears as a sudden rise in reflectance near 700 nanometers. It's so sharp that it stands out even through cloud cover and atmospheric noise. If retinal-based life dominated a planet, its pigment would likely create a different but equally sharp edge. Instead of peaking in the near-infrared, it might peak in the violet or blue range. Scientists would see a curve in the spectrum that doesn't match any non-biological material. Rocks and minerals can mimic many features, but sharp edges linked to pigments are harder to fake. Detecting this purple edge would be like a cosmic handshake. It would mean we're not just seeing a planet, we're seeing its biology. 4. Implications for humanity now. Imagine the impact of such a discovery. For science, it would be revolutionary. It would prove that life is not a rare accident, but a natural outcome of chemistry and physics. It would expand the definition of biology beyond Earth, confirming that pigments like retinal are universal tools for survival. For philosophy, it would shift how we see ourselves. For centuries, humanity placed itself at the center of creation. Even after accepting that Earth is one planet among billions, we've still clung to the idea that our version of life, our green forests, our blue oceans, is somehow special. Discovering purple life would remind us that we are not the template, but one of many variations. For religion, it could inspire new questions. If life flourishes on multiple worlds, what does that mean for purpose, for meaning, for creation itself? Each tradition would respond differently, but none could ignore the significance. And for ordinary people, for you and MIT, would be humbling. To know that our planet may once have been purple, and that purple life may thrive elsewhere, is to see ourselves as part of a grander story. We are not the authors, but participants in a cosmic experiment billions of years old. Throughout this journey, we've asked why life is green, explored the possibility that it was once purple, and considered how evolution might repeat that trick across the universe. The final step is searching for it with telescopes that can read the colors of alien worlds. If we ever see the spectral fingerprint of retinal on another planet, we will have found more than just life. We will have found a mirror, a reminder that Earth's story is not unique, and that color itself can be a bridge between worlds. Perhaps the universe's most common garden is not green, but purple. And if that is true, then the search for life is also the search for ourselves, for the shades of existence that remind us we are not alone. If this journey into the purple Earth hypothesis made you think differently about life, imagine what else we've yet to discover. What color do you think dominates the cosmos? Let us know in the comments. And if you'd like to keep exploring mysteries of science and the universe, remember to like this video and subscribe for more stories like this.